What's the quickest thing you can do in sales? The quickest thing is an email. A good email can bring in a lot of cash flow in the next 4 hours. That's why of all the things, and some people push back and say, but Simon, email is so old school, right? Yes, it's old school, but it still works. And one of our best investments have been to really learn how to craft an email, a sales email. The subject line, the body, and the call to action. Those are the three things that you need to master.
Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. My name is Arlen and I'm your host. Today we've got a very special guest, Simon Severino, who is the CEO and creator of the Strategy Sprints method, which has generated over $2 billion in additional sales for his clients. With 21 years of experience helping entrepreneurs reclaim time and scale faster. Simon is also the author of Strategy Sprints, a top podcast host, TEDx speaker, and Forbes contributor. Today, he'll share insights on supercharging sales and working on your business instead of in it. Welcome to the podcast, Simon.
Hey, Arlen. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and thank you for joining us today. Definitely got a hot topic I'm super excited to dive into because, sales is no matter what type of business you're in, e-commerce, retail, whatever it is, local storefront, sales is the name of the game. And anything that you can tell us to help businesses, especially e-commerce businesses, supercharge your sales, I think myself and our audience will be all ears. But before we dive deep into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and, how you got into what you're doing today?
I did fall in love 22 years ago with the go-to-market topics, marketing, sales, because it's mostly psychology. And I'm really interested in people, what makes them tick, what makes them buy, what makes them do this versus that, how do they change behaviors. So I'm a people's person. I'm interested and reading all these books and observing people around me since forever. And so 22 years ago, when I was working with the executive teams of the Fortune 500, they were asking me for a few things: leadership questions, culture questions, go to market questions. And the go to market ones, I did fall in love with those because I could do this up to 2 a.m. in the morning without being tired because I was so interested in these topics.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how it started. And then people week by week pulled these things, these tools, these blueprints, these spreadsheets from me. And I didn't stop because it was needed. And so I just stayed there and went deeper and deeper. 22 years later, I'm still doing that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff. And yeah, the more and more I've been in business, as I mentioned before we started recording, over 24 years, and I've seen a lot, done a lot. It's been an incredible journey. And I think you're right. That if you're understanding the psychology of people, why people make certain decisions, I think that's really the root of what you need to understand as a business owner to really focus in on improving your sales and tapping into that ideal customer or that ideal customer persona that you've created for your business. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Now, you've helped a variety of customers, as I mentioned in the intro, clients that have allowed clients to achieve over $2 billion in additional sales. We wanted to know if you could share a specific story where your strategy sprints method helped transform that business's sales, and what did you do specifically?
Sure. So the main mistake is that when people think about sales, they think about the seller, but that's the least important part of the equation.
Mhm.
If you start from the buyer, now you're onto something. And for some reason, few people do it. If we start from the buyer, and this is what we do in every sprint, right? The sprint is 90 days.
Mhm.
And at the very beginning, we ask who is the ideal buyer, and we define them 5 levels deep. So they might say, okay, it's a male, age 39. They're making $35,000 per month in revenue.
Mhm.
They are in an urban area and they are in the US.
Yeah.
So that's 5 level deep of a definition. We start with this ideal client, and for each one, there is also the anti criteria. So if they're a woman, they will not get a time with us. We will not waste their time. They will not waste our time. So we also define the anti ICP
Mhm.
and create systems that filter that conversation out.
Mhm.
That's the first part. Not, because if we're talking to the wrong people, whatever you do is not going to be effective. So the first part is making sure that we're talking to the right people at the right time for the right reason. Right people, we've screened out everybody that has one of those 5 anti criteria.
Mhm.
They are out of the funnel. They get a polite bye bye.
Right.
Now, can we talk to them at the right time? Many times we talk to the right audience, but at the wrong time. So, what we create are automations that tell us in real time, hey, this person is just hiring according to LinkedIn. Now talk to them about selling them and onboarding training.
Mhm.
That's now the right time for that conversation. That's the second piece. And the third piece is for the right reasons. Many people come with a pitch, and the pitch is about them. That's not good enough of a reason. So you
Sure.
need something like our strategic value, which is this blue thing here, which has, um, hey, this is what's coming for you in the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. And this is how I can help you be ready for what's coming. That would be a relevant reason.
Mhm.
So now, from the buyer's perspective, you're having a conversation that somebody starts with you. You are the right person to talk to. They are talking at the right time that's relevant to you. So it's timely. And now they're talking to you for the right reason.
Mhm.
Will you now pick up the phone?
Yeah, it seems like if you've covered all of those areas, your probability of getting to that customer is definitely a lot higher. And it's interesting that you mentioned the anti criteria because I don't hear that a lot with marketers. A lot of the focus, as you mentioned, of course, is the persona, creating the persona. I've seen brands that have created multiple personas of that ideal customer. So they'll say, this type of customer, it has this demographic, but yet we also want to target this one. But I never see them try to, like you said, create an anti. And I think that's really seems to be really important because you don't want to waste time, you don't want to waste money. So it almost seems like you really have to filter out people that really just are not going to be the right type of customer because otherwise, they're not going to buy most likely.
Yes. And so that's the sprint 90 days.
Okay.
We have 12 weeks to solve these bottlenecks. The first one is
Mhm.
starting the conversation with the right people. The second is starting it at the right moment. And
Right.
the third one is for the right reason. If we solve these 3 things, now the sales process is much more effective.
Mhm.
And then the rest is automating it, making it more efficient. But first, you need something that works, and then you scale it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And just repeating that. So it's just doing that and then, rinsing and repeating and continuing that process. Yeah, it definitely seems like a way to go. One of the things that I read when I was looking into some of the things that you guys have done with your methods is you've come up with 8 steps to repeatable sales. Kind of ties into what you talked about. I'm always about actionable things that e-commerce brands can kind of do immediately. Once they walk away from this podcast. If an entrepreneur could really only apply one of your 8 steps to repeatable sales today, which one would you think would make the most impact and why?
Are the listeners selling more low ticket items below $10,000 or high ticket items above $10,000?
The majority, I would say, let's just say keep it below
Below.
10,000 low ticket
Then
items.
we have to look at the landing page because that's where you sell it, right?
Okay.
So the landing page, there is a quick checklist to optimize the landing page.
Mhm.
And the first one is to really, in the first 7 seconds, does it tell me who is this for and what is it for? So most people will say quickly yes, but if you double check the website, there is some legwork to understand, is this for me? Are they talking to me? So let's say you are a merchandise brand and I can buy caps and pants on your site. It's not just about the pen, it's really more about, and I give you 2 examples. One is, hey, you are the head of marketing of a bigger company, and I know that your problem is you have a designer and a manufacturer and a logistics company, and it's a mess because it's so many moving parts.
Right.
So welcome, you are right here. This is the place where I take all of this burden from you from A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking to me as somebody who is the CMO of a mid-sized company, and you know that I have all these moving parts. And you know that the strategic value is not the pen or the cap. It
Yes.
is, I will take from you all this burden of coordinating all this from design to creating it to shipping it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the same thing, a merchandising store, might be for solopreneurs. A solopreneur might have a different kind of topic. The budget topic is much more important.
Right.
And so they're doing everything themselves and they have no idea what they should do. Should I create a mug that's always in their hands because somebody said it should always be in their hands?
Right.
Or should I create an umbrella, but it never rains there? But that's the difference. So somebody said, I have to do it different.
Right.
They have no idea. And you have to be more of an advisor to them. And then your landing page says, hey, welcome solopreneur. This is the place where we help you make less bad decisions.
I see. Interesting.
And then the testimonials are important because you picked accordingly different testimonials. And this is just the first 7 seconds of the page. So this is important. Are you talking to me? And are you seeing what my problem is? That's what should happen in the first 7 seconds.
I see. So it's I mean, that's not 7 seconds, of course, is not a lot of time. So it seems like if you want to be able to target somebody in that amount of time, that landing page has to be hyper focused. It can't be all over the place, and you can't have it in a way where you're trying to meet the needs of so many types of end customers. It has to be specific to that one type of customer.
Exactly.
So,
and then the contrast to the button must be as high as possible because you want them to take action.
Right.
So the call to action, the button alone, we could talk for an hour.
Right.
The shape of the button, the colors of the button, the contrast to the background.
Mhm.
Contrast must be as high as possible, and it must be literally pulling you to click it.
I see.
And what you write on the button is also very important. And there are A/B tests that we run on those landing pages, and there are buttons that work better than others. And that's
Mhm.
something that you A/B test, and in 3 days you find out what the best button is.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like all of those little details really do matter and make a difference where, sometimes you would think, all right, yeah, all right, a button's a button, but it's that, I guess that's not the case.
No, it's not. Think of the button as well, first of all, it's the story, right? In these 7 seconds,
Right.
are you moving them internally?
Mhm. Sure.
And then are you moving their body to actually do something? So from being relaxed to actually being in urgency. Oh my God, I have to do something. I have to click this.
Mhm.
Well, that's a lot of change that you are asking from somebody who's relaxed to they are in urgency to they are moving their finger and doing something.
Mhm.
So you are actually activating a very relaxed body into
Right.
action.
Mhm.
That's quite something that you're asking. So the button must be really well done to accomplish that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're talking, and all of this really just has to happen in such a short amount of time. So I see you don't have any time to waste. I mean, there's no seconds to waste. Everything on that page has to be calculated and proven and tested. And I guess you can't really get to that point or to that optimal page unless you've done testing.
Yes.
Is that the case?
I mean, people can have a look at our page, strategysprints.com. We're
Okay.
continuously A/B testing. So it will look different in a month. It always
Right.
looks
Right.
different a month
Sure.
later because we're always learning where
Hmm.
to put stuff. And what's probably going to be the same is the contrast to the button will always be as high as possible.
Okay.
So if the button is
Con-
in color, the background is black or white,
Gotcha.
as
So
an example.
you're
Yeah.
looking for the sharpest contrast as possible between
Sharpest,
background. Okay.
because
Background
you
color
want to
and button color.
drive their attention automatically to the button, to the
Okay.
action. You want to move them to action.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, Now, when I talked about your intro, I talked about the fact that one of the things that you help people do and brands do is get away from working in the business to working on the business, which is sometimes very difficult, especially for solopreneurs and small e-commerce business owners. Um, what for them to kind of see the light and make that a possibility, what would you say it would be one initial exercise that they can do to try to pull away from getting in the business and working on the business and to help drive sales growth?
Everybody knows they have to delegate, right? But everybody feels like it's hard.
Yes.
So I have this little rule for myself. As soon as I do something and I'm mediocre at it or I'm not the best at it, if I'm the
Hmm.
best at it, I might keep doing it. But as soon as somebody else can do it in the same quality for 1/3 of the costs, I'm delegating.
Hmm.
So bookkeeping, delegated.
Okay.
Because in that hour that somebody is doing bookkeeping, can I do 3 times what it costs me?
Hmm.
So if that bookkeeping hour costs me $50,
Right.
can I make $150 in that hour?
I
As
see.
soon as I can make 150, I delegate it.
I see. Okay. That's pretty straightforward. And yeah, I like the way that you look at it like that because yeah, you have to, and it's hard sometimes for companies to do that because they're looking at, okay, I can't afford to get a bookkeeper. I got to do these things myself. But they have to get out of that and they realize, okay, their time is valuable. What can I do to, and like you said, to make up that and then some revenue wise if I'm not doing the bookkeeping. And yeah,
I've
that's
delegated the bookkeeping, I think, in the first year of running my own business,
right,
and I would never go back. So
right,
bookkeeping is the first thing to delegate. I would say
sure,
you cannot afford to not delegate it
Yes.
because you need the time to work on your sales systems,
Mm.
then on your marketing systems, and on the product. The product
Right.
needs to get better and better, specifically in the first years, because it's
Right.
not perfect yet. So you have to get it to really, really, really good.
Hmm.
At the same time, you have to build the sales processes. So
Yes.
starting the conversation at the right moment with the right people for the right reason, that's that's an outbound process. And you will also want to build an inbound process.
Hmm.
So we are right now are mainly inbound. Inbound is when you wake up in the morning and your calendar has people on there that booked themselves to talk to you. If it's a high
Right.
ticket
Right. For sure.
business, and if it's a low ticket business, you wake up in the morning and you see stripe, 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 stripe.
Mhm. Right. Right.
That's inbound, right?
Hmm.
And outbound means you have either, if it's low ticket, you have an automation starting out cold emails or social media posts,
Hmm.
emails. And if it's a high ticket, you have somebody calling people or inviting to a webinar.
Right. Right. Yes. And so all of those things are just the repeatable things that you have to just keep doing consistently. I see. Now, as we get ready to wrap things up, I want to kind of throw a hypothetical scenario at you. Let's say there's a D2C founder and they want to scale fast, but they're short on time. And let's just say it's they've got to scale, or else they're going to have to shut things down. It's at that point. And let's say we're at the holidays time. We're in the U.S. here. We're approaching Black Friday. They want to do something fast. They're short on time. What's a quick win you could advise them for them to implement immediately uh, to get a boost in sales?
What's the quickest thing you can do in sales? The quickest thing is an email.
Okay.
A good email can bring in a lot of cash flow in the next 4 hours.
Okay.
That's why of all the things, and some people push back and say, but Simon, email is so old school, right?
Right.
Yes,
Right.
it's old school, but
Yes.
it still works.
Hmm. It does.
And one of our best investments have been to really learn how to craft an email, a sales email,
Hmm.
the subject line, the the body, and the call to action. Those are the three
Hmm.
things that you need to master.
Okay.
And obviously building an email list, getting subscribers.
Hmm.
That's why it's important to post every week. We post every day on
Hmm.
LinkedIn and on the main channels, and
Right.
we send an email around every 2-3 days,
Okay.
because you want to cultivate that warm, receptive audience, engaged audience. Because when that moment comes that you are referring to,
Hmm.
where you have to sell something, I
Yes.
hope it never comes, but we have all had that kind of month.
For
And
sure.
so in that month, now you need it. Now you need a healthy email list. And now with one email, you can create cash flow.
Okay. With one email. Yeah. I've heard that before, and a lot of times, like you said, email is old school. People have always talked about, okay, is it going away? But I think you're totally right. It hasn't gone anywhere, and if it's well crafted, it can give you an incredible boost, like you said, in a short amount of time. But it has to be crafted correctly, and you have to get it right, because people do get inundated with email, of course, as we all know. But if you've got the subject line right, you've got the body right, and whether it's you're having an offer in there, if all of that is speaking to your list the right way, then yeah, it can definitely make a difference.
But I
Um,
hope that you're never under this extreme pressure of having to
sure,
sell something. What we
right.
like to implement is both outbound and inbound systems, so that you
Mm,
never are under pressure. And you want to stack up repeatable sales, recurring sales, and even passive income, so that you are never under pressure. As an entrepreneur, I had to take sometimes money from my personal account and put it into the business,
sure,
or for a month not paying myself as a founder, and
yeah.
in that way in injecting cash into the business.
Hmm.
So it's it's possible that you have also these kind of months, but in order to have calm sailing, it's really important that you stack up inbound and outbound sales system, but also recurring revenues and passive income. If you have a stack, and even if it's small, but if you stack them up, they compound. And when they compound, they give you that runway and that calmness that you need so that you never get under pressure. Because it's not great to go hungry into the grocery store. You always wanna
Yes.
eat before.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great analogy. You got to have those things already in place. Like you said, you don't want to get to the point where it's do or die, where you've got to do something. Everything is writing on that one email. Yeah, that's not a good place to be. And like you said, most founders have been there where they've had to take money from their personal, inject it into the business. I haven't talked to too many founders that haven't been there before. It's it's the nature of the business. But yeah, thank you for sharing that, Simon, and thank you for coming on. This has definitely been an awesome conversation. We see that there's a lot to this. There's a lot that you can do, but I think your strategies that you've recommended can definitely be impactful. Like we always close things out and switch gears here just so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. If you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think we'd be interested to know.
Fun fact is that we work in 14 countries and I never leave this room. This is my home office.
Wow.
And I'm mostly here. I have 3 little
Okay.
kids. So, whenever I have a break or I have an hour, I play with them.
Okay.
And so,
Awesome.
yeah, you can operate in 14 countries and have a very boring life in just one room.
This is very true. I know the feeling. Yeah, we've been in business a long time, as I mentioned, and we started off as a building a virtual team even back 24 years ago. And so I know what you're saying. I'm pretty much in my space for the majority of the time, and we've got people that work for us from all over. So it's doable. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that's quite an accomplishment that you've had to be able to do business in 14 countries and manage it, from one location. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Simon. Lastly, before we do let you go, if you don't mind sharing if you don't mind letting our listeners and viewers know the best way for them to reach you, if they want to pick your brain any more about any of these strategies and things that we talked about today.
Sure, this was high level. So if you want to grab the actual checklist, tools, blueprints, many of them are for free on our website. It's strategysprints.com. And then in the tools sections, many of them can be downloaded for free and they can start implementing them already. If they want to go even deeper, I wrote a book called Strategy Sprints. It's available on Amazon. And it's really a cookbook for how to run a digital business. Chapter 1, marketing, chapter 2, sales, chapter 3, operations, and the last chapters are firing and hiring. So it's a very practical cookbook for entrepreneurs. And if they want to talk to us, they can go to strategysprints.com and book a time to talk.
All right. That sounds great. Well, we'll be sure to have the link to the website in the show notes so people can reach out to you. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely encourage people to connect with you. And thank you, Simon, for coming on and joining us today on the E-Commerce Marketing Podcast.
Thank you, Arlen, for showing up for your community so consistently. Keep rolling.
Yes, no problem. And thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the E-Commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level but are tired of weeding through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.